Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Charlie's Journey YouTube channel. If you are new here and this is one of the first videos you've seen of mine, I hope that if you like the content you will subscribe, and if you are already a subscriber, then welcome back guys, and thank you as always for supporting me. I'm going to get straight into today's video. It's one of my Undoing Indoctrination videos, and I think it might be the last one actually in this little series that I can think of for now anyway. First, these apologies for the appearance. The setup's a bit casual today. I'm very casual. This week has been very manic and I really want this video to go up on Sunday, so I'm just filming where I can today, so apologies again. We're just going to get straight into it. So for me, I would say being brought up as an ex-JW, having a very singular way of thinking, narrow-minded, I guess you could call it, having a very narrow-minded, singular way of thinking, and even sometimes a very simplistic way of thinking has been something I've had to undo. There isn't just one simplistic way of looking at the world. There's not one simplistic answer to life's big questions or even to solve certain problems. There's gray areas. Not everything is just black or white. And I've come to see that with not just the JWs, with a lot of religions, that can be the way. It's either this or it's that. It's either right or it's wrong. You're either with us or you're not with us. And growing up with that mentality and having to try and undo that now can be difficult, and it has been a little bit difficult. Not too much, because I'm learning through watching debates and exposing myself to things that I wouldn't normally have exposed myself to when I was a witness. I've come to see that there's so much nuance to life. There's so much nuance to different situations. There's so much different things to consider. And I think when you're brought up to just see things as I said, right, and that's one of the sayings that I used to hear a lot growing up, was it's really simple, but people like to complicate it, as in the religious message that we're trying to preach. This is when I was a JW, obviously. The religious message that we are trying to preach and how we try to teach people the Bible is that it's just such a simple concept, and that is basically God created us. He deserved to be worshipped. We should worship him. Simple as that. There should be no gray areas. There should be no in-betweens. There should be no questioning that. It's just, this is how it is, or this is how it should be, and this is what we should do accordingly. And it's just as simple as that. And I very much, when I used to preach, or if I was at work and I used to talk to my colleagues, that's very much how I would present it. Like, the Bible's quite simple to understand. God's message is quite simple. What he expects from us is very simple. He doesn't ask much. And anything that we don't understand, or anything that we aren't clear on, just have faith. Pray and just have faith, and all will be revealed in due time, whether now or, as the JWs preach it, in the paradise, in the future to come. But you're definitely not taught to think for yourself or to critically think. Definitely not taught to critically think. You are to be obedient. And that scripture that talks about obedience is better than a sacrifice, that is something that the JWs definitely preach hard, is obedience. Even if something doesn't quite make sense, even if an instruction they give you is unclear, or again doesn't make sense, or even if a teaching doesn't quite make sense, or has you left asking more questions, then again, it's just, this is how it is. This is what, we're either followers of God or we're not. There's no room for it to be, you're a follower, however, you just want to know why this is the case, why that's not the case, etc., etc. And I think maybe more people would be religious if it was the case that they didn't have such singular ways of thinking. If people were left to have the freedom to worship God or gods, whatever it might be, their gods, God, and to worship and have a relationship with that God in the way that is personal to them, I think a lot more people probably would be religious. Maybe not, I could be wrong, but I definitely think that that narrow-minded way of thinking doesn't serve anybody, and it makes you extremely ignorant. It made me extremely ignorant, because there's a lot of things that I've now had to learn, like I said, since leaving, that I come to see aren't so black and white, or aren't so clear cut as I've been taught to think. And as I said, regarding certain subjects, that's been difficult, and I would be lying if I said it wasn't. When you're brought up to see certain people's lifestyles as wrong, when you're brought up to see everyday normal things that people do as wrong, or even more serious things that involve people's lives, medically, in terms of their relationships, in terms of quite important things, it's still very narrow-minded thinking. So I remember not long after I left the organisation, I had a conversation with someone, and I was still clearly very unwittingly self-righteous, or just still very narrow-minded in my thinking. And we had a debate about something, but I wish I could remember what it was actually. But the person said to me, no, it doesn't work like that. And I was like, yeah, it does. It's this or it's that. And the person said, no, but it isn't, because it's this, that, it could be this, it could be, have you looked at it from this angle? Have you looked at it from, you're not going to know all sides, and this also plays into it. Like, really helping me to see that before you make a definitive statement about a belief in anything, or a definitive statement about something that you feel strongly about, whatever it might be, it's really good to make sure that you aren't black and white in your thinking, that you can be critical and see both sides of things, or maybe however many sides of things that there are. You take into consideration all the factors before you run with it, especially if you're going to tell others and try to maybe even persuade others about your way of thinking. I think that's super important. And that's one thing, as I said, I've had to learn. My perceptions. And as I said, I always thought I was non-judgmental. I always thought I was very well-rounded. I was very tolerant, very reasonable, etc., etc. I really thought I was, and then I left, and then I was like, oh, some work that needs to be done. But we're getting there. We are getting there, and learning to think critically and to question things, and to ask myself things, not to just accept and have blind faith in things, but to have a little almost mental debate with myself as to, why, as to all the facts. That's something I've had to learn, and I'm still learning to do. So just another residual effect of having been brought up and conditioned a certain way. I think that's why people, anybody in a religion or an organization that is like that, it's hard to get them away. It's hard to pull them away from that, because they're so used to not questioning, and they're, or even the opposite, defending, which is what they really want you to do, defend the indoctrination and the conditioning that you've been subjected to defend it against others when they try to question you for your way of thinking and your perception on things. So today's video is very short and sweet, like I said. Things have been very manic at the moment, so apologies. And apologies if anybody has emailed me and I haven't yet got back to you. You're on my list. I haven't missed you. It's just things are very manic at the moment. My children, I think I mentioned this in one of my videos, my children are on summer vacation, so they don't go back for another couple of weeks, which means once they go back to school, I can film. It'll be a lot easier to film during the day, but at the moment, finding the time, it's been very difficult. It's been very, very, very difficult. So apologies that this is a short and sweet one, but I wanted to get something out for Sunday, like I said. So hopefully I will still get this out. I hope everyone's doing well. And like I said, if this is the first time you've seen a video of mine, please go back and look at some of my other videos, see if they are of any interest to you. And if they are, hopefully you'll subscribe and stick around for more of my healing journey. I upload every Wednesday and Sunday. I hope everyone stays well, and I'll see you on my next one.